Episode 21. What Remains? Series closing. Give and take. We began in the cold. A hearth that wouldn't light. Halls that had gone silent. Arms that ached while everyone around us seemed full. A thirst left by dreams that ran past without stopping. A crack running through the place where words were supposed to be. And underneath all of it, the question that was really underneath all of it, what's wrong with me? That is where we started. In the honest, unmanaged, unpolished place that most devotional content moves past too quickly. We didn't move past it. We went all the way in. We let it be as real as it actually was. We named the envy. We named the comparison. We named the accumulation of watching others have what we didn't and not being able to explain why. We named the anger, and I told you the anger was supposed to be there, that the vocals of this song carried it intentionally, because I was angry, and many of us were, and pretending otherwise would have been a lie dressed in spiritual language. We let the accusation be what it was. You give them joy, leave me to bleed. Why take from me what I most need? We pointed it directly at God. We didn't apologize for it. We stood in the long tradition of those who brought the unmanaged truth of their pain to God. Job, David, Jeremiah. And we said what needed to be said. And then something happened. Grace came. I want to stay here for a moment before we trace the rest of the arc. Because grace is the thing that made everything that followed possible. And I think grace is one of the most misunderstood words in the Christian vocabulary. We speak of it as though it is always gentle, always soft, always the warm light breaking through the clouds, and the relief flooding in, and the burden lifting, and the heart finally finding what it was searching for. And grace is all of those things. It is glorious. It is wonderful. It is the most needed thing any of us will ever receive. But when it first comes, when it arrives in the place where the wound is real and the envy has taken root and the pride has built its architecture and the lies have become structural, grace is not soft. Grace is a light. And light, when it enters a place that has been dark long enough, does not feel like relief at first. It feels like exposure. That is why the song says, "If this is grace, then let it stay." Not since this is grace, not because this is grace. If. Because the person in that moment is not entirely sure they want what is happening to them. Because if this is grace, it doesn't feel the way grace was supposed to feel. It feels like being brought to your knees, like something being stripped away that you weren't ready to lose. Like a light revealing the truth of the root that took hold. The full truth, the unedited truth. The truth of what was actually living underneath the wound and the envy and the comparison and the striving. And what's under is not pretty. The root, the deep, structural, forged from need root of envy and pride, and the identity built entirely around lack. When grace illuminates it fully, when the light goes all the way down to where the thing is actually anchored, what surfaces is not something we are glad to see. It is the full accounting of what we actually are underneath the version we have been presenting. The shame, the lies, the false assumptions, the pride of deserving, the selfish ambition that dressed itself as drive, all of it, visible, undeniable, nowhere left to hide. We are never ready for this. I want to say that plainly because I think the expectation that we should be ready, that a mature enough faith would receive grace without flinching, is one of the cruelest things we tell ourselves. No one is ready for the full light of grace on the full truth of what is inside them. No one consents to this willingly. No one looks at the stripping and thinks, "Yes, please, more of this." even when we know it is grace, even when we believe it is necessary, even when we have seen enough of God's character to trust that what the light is revealing is being revealed in order to be remade. It is still one of the most humbling, painful processes a human heart can go through. The root has to be remade, not trimmed, not managed, remade. And remaking a root is not a gentle process. It is the forge work of part 4. It is the hammer and the fire and the altar stone and the yoke being broken off and the open hands releasing what the closed fist had been gripping for years. It is the burn what's false and shape the fire that's shaping me. It is the continued, repeated, grace-sustained returning to the stone every time the hunger rises and the old root tries to reassert itself. This is why the series was as hard as it was. Not because I wanted to make it hard, because grace is as hard as it is. And I would rather tell you the truth about what grace costs than dress it in something more comfortable and send you into the process unprepared for what you will find there. Grace is glorious. It is the most wonderful thing. It is the most needed thing. And it will bring you to your knees before it lifts you to your feet. If you have been brought to your knees somewhere in this series, if something surfaced that you weren't expecting, if the light went somewhere you weren't ready for it to go, if the stripping felt like more than you signed up for, that is not evidence that something has gone wrong. That is evidence that grace is doing what grace does. The humbling is real. The pain is real. And the God who is doing the humbling is present in every moment of it, holding what would otherwise be too much to hold, staying in the fire with you, remaining in the very grace that frightens you. That is where the rest of the arc begins, with a crack forming in the accusation, a question working its way through. Is it them, or is it me? The dangerous prayer prayed, the light turned around, the interior examined, the shame surfaced, and the lies came loose, and the pride gave way. The dark becoming a friend, the hunger and the desire coming apart, the want loosened from its object, and the tension, painful, real, ongoing, becoming the sign of God working rather than the sign of his absence. The sovereignty opened, the forge began. The want was laid on the altar stone and submitted to the hammer. The yoke was broken. The hands opened. The kingdom was placed first. And slowly, not cleanly, not without cost, not in a single dramatic moment, but in the accumulated choosing of a direction over time, freedom began to arrive. Not the freedom of having everything, the freedom of needing only one. And we arrived at the line the whole journey was building toward. Only you remain. This journey, everything we have walked through together in this series, is not a journey you complete once and leave behind. The altar is not a monument to a past surrender. The forge is not a closed chapter. The hunger will rise again. The comparison will return. The old desire will find its old object in someone else's hands, and the familiar ache will surface, and the temptation to return to the wound will be as present tomorrow as it was before the journey began. That is not failure. That is the human condition. That is the ongoing reality of flesh and spirit in tension. The tension that Paul described in Romans 7, that Augustine knew from the inside, that every honest person of faith has lived with. The envy does not disappear. The fleshy pull toward comparison and measuring and the wanting of what others have does not vanish because grace has done its work in you. But you are not the same person who stood at the cold hearth. You know things now that you did not know then. You know that the dark is not abandonment. It is the place where quiet hands hold everything. You know that the stripping is not destruction. It is preparation. You know that the forge is not punishment. It is the craftsman at work. You know that the hunger and the desire are not the same thing, that the want can be transformed without the hunger being removed. You know that what God withholds has worth, that the kept things reveal his character in ways the given things cannot. You know that he is the main character in the story, even yours. And you know, now, from the inside of it, from having walked the whole arc from the cold hearth to the only you remain, that he was there the whole time, in the wound and the accusation and the dark and the stripping and the shame and the forge, remaining, consistent, present in the giving and the taking alike. This is the foundation we live in now, not a feeling, a conviction, hard-won, fire-tested, built in the dark when nothing else was visible, and the only thing holding the thread to the line was the quiet awareness that someone was holding it. He chose us first. That is where this larger journey began, in a song called "You Chose Us First," in the recognition that God sought us out before we knew we needed to be found. He pursued the heart that was running in the wrong direction. He moved toward us before we moved toward him. And he has been faithful to that choosing through everything since. Through the wound, through the accusation, through the dark and the stripping and the forge and the surrender, through every joy and every night and every flame, through the grace that brought us to our knees before it lifted us to our feet. He chose, and he remained, and he is remaining still. If you are still in the wound as this series closes, still in the comparison, still in the ache, still asking why, you are not behind. You are not failing. You are standing at the cold hearth with the question that matters, and the God who remains is already present in the cold, already in the dark, already doing something in the silence that the silence is required to do. You are not alone in it. If you are somewhere in the middle, in the forge, in the stripping, in the tension of a hunger you do not want that has not yet fully faded, stay. The smith knows what he is making. The fire is doing exactly what it needs to do. And the quiet hands that hold everything are holding you in this too. You are not alone in it. And if you are somewhere on the other side, if the turning has happened, if the only you remain has become real in a way it wasn't before, carry it gently. Return to the altar when the hunger rises. Bring the want back to the stone. Sing his name in the giving and the taking. Bow in the joy and the night and the flame. Because only he remains in all of it, through all of it, through the grace that hurt before it healed, through the light that exposed before it freed, through the root that had to be remade before the tree could grow true. He always has. Thank you for walking this with me. This series has been one of the most personal things I have ever put into words, drawn from places in my own story that cost something to open. I hope something in it named what you have carried in a way that helped you carry it differently. I hope the honest parts gave you permission to be honest. I hope the hard parts gave you permission to feel what is actually hard. And I hope the freedom, real, costly, forge-built, only him freedom, has begun or continued or deepened in you through the walking of this. He gives, he takes, grace comes, and it is worth it. Only he remains. And here is what I want to leave you with as this series closes, not as a final thought, but as a door opening onto the next room. We have spent this entire journey inside the experience of want and lack and envy and surrender. We have looked at the giving and the taking from the inside of the person being given to and taken from. We have asked the hard questions. We have been in the forge. We have arrived, slowly, painfully, honestly, at the conviction that through all of it, only he remains. But there is another side to that remaining, a larger side, a cosmic side that goes further than anything our own experience of the journey can contain. Because the love that remained through the wound and the dark and the forge and the surrender, that love did not begin when we needed it. It did not start when the envy took hold, or when the cold hearth went cold, or when we first cried out, "Why take from me what I most need?" It was there before any of that, before time, before the stars learned to burn, before the first breath was drawn, or the first dream ran past, or the first comparison was made. And it will be there after all of it is over. In our next series, we are going to step back from the interior journey and look up. We are going to trace the full, boundless, time-transcending, death-defeating, cosmos-spanning reach of the love that has been holding us through everything we just walked through. A love that nothing, no mountain, no valley, no wound, no weight, no wrong, no fear, no fall, no power in heaven or on earth can separate us from. A love that was before the beginning and will be after the end. A love that holds the world and still holds you. We are calling it Always Be. Join us. There is more to see.